Yeah, yeah. I guess it started with a desire, and this
Mm,
is my own definition. This is not a definition that is I think he was even out there. I think desire is when the want and the will meet together, and so it's like it's a motivated want.
yeah,
It's you
motivated.
have
Like that.
yeah.
Mm,
So
with that. That's
a
good.
lot of people want stuff, but they haven't got to the point where they desire it. Like that's where you have
Mm,
an intention behind it to acquire that thing that you want. And
yeah,
so
I know what you mean. When I saw my wife, I desired her. Like I got to get her on my team.
yeah, I imagine she's somewhere seeing you. Then you want to get
No,
those
no,
brownie points.
she's not even in earshot. But you're exactly right though. Like that desire is everything. When you desire something, it's nothing you won't do to get it. Like,
Yeah.
I say that on the wife because I saw her and her dad was very strict. And, my wife and I, we met, I was 22, she was 20. And I desired her so much so to where I was actually content. I was at a point where I started going to college. Then I stopped, to go to work and I was good working. And her dad was like, look, if you want to marry my daughter, you got to have a degree first. So guess what? I went back to school, even at a point to where
Oh wow.
I'd given up on school. I was not going to go back. I felt like I was making what I would have made if I would have went to college anyway. There was no motivation. I wanted, like you said, a degree, but I didn't desire it. And I was like, I was good enough where I was. But I wanted the wife. I wanted her specifically. And
Yeah.
her dad was like, look, you want my daughter, you got to get a degree first. So what did the boy do? Got back in. I had a past due balance too with the university, and I couldn't get
Oh
back on my own until I paid the balance off. But so it was a challenge to get back in school, and I
yeah.
had to work hard to even pay the balance to even get back in, and then to get in, and then to go through. But I'm grateful that he did that because we have a lot more opportunities now. Granted, school is different these days. I don't think you need a degree at all to be
Yeah.
successful. But that was something that was part of my personal journey to you know fulfill my personal legend, I guess. Hmm.
Yeah. He just wanted somebody that would be able to provide for his daughter
Yeah,
on a long term in a good way, and
for
not
sure,
just in a getting by way.
for
Because
sure.
that's exactly where you would have been potentially
Potentially,
if you did not have that degree.
I wouldn't
You
have been a
definitely wouldn't be where you were, where you're at now.
Yeah. No, I definitely would not. Well, I mean, if I would have been where I am, it would have been a totally unforeseen path. But I I got into taxes because I went back to school, and then that's when like a professor kind of got me on the that path of thinking that as well. I didn't mention that part because even though my degree was in accounting, and I'd done that part of the accounting curriculum made me take this tax class. And then the tax class professor was like, the IRS needs some volunteers to work with them. And you'll get extra credit if you do it. And then that's when I'm like, yeah, I'm in. But because I was in that program, my friends knew, and I was just helping
Mm.
my friends for free. And then one thing led to another where one friend kind of was an influencer and he blew me up to all the people he knew who were
Oh
waiters.
man.
Yeah, and this restaurant would have me come in on a day they were closed, and I would do the whole restaurant's taxes, every server, the managers, everybody. And then before you know it, they started referring people. Those referrals started happening. People I never even met or heard of, and then that's when things kind of like blew up for me. And that was like, that was probably they really started blowing up hard, like in 2010, 2011, 2012. That's when they really started blowing up.
Yeah, yeah. When did we go full time? Because you went a few months before I did, and then I went after you.
I went October 2015. That's when I left. Oh, yeah, October 2015. I left Apple, and I never looked back after that.
Okay. For me, it was July of 2016.
16.
Yeah. I didn't leave my job. I got fired because they found out I had a business on the side. But uh, for for anybody
Every
doing their thing on the side, that's if you have a side hustle, that's a risk.
mm-hmm.
But and I would actually not financial advice to anybody out there, but I would definitely suggest uh, starting a business as a side hustle
I agree.
prior to just saying I'm going to go full time in this
I
and
agree.
like taking out loans. Like I'm 100% for like bootstrapping and you know working small and working up.
Yeah.
I definitely don't suggest somebody just going all in and putting their house up for a second mortgage and doing all that kind of nonsense to start a business.
It's
I mean,
kind of
granted,
like get some experience in it first. 'Cause what if you leave your job? You know, your job is your first business partner. That's what one of my mentors says. Your job is your first business partner. And um, and at the end of that's Storm Leroy. And at the end of the day, what he says is when he says that, it's like it's so true because it helps you get the life you have now. You know, oftentimes it helps you get, that car you have, allows you to get the apartment you have, allows you to get the home you have, allows you to get funding. And so the book I read before I left my job was this book by John Acuff called Quitter. And he was on Dave Ramsey's team. And he said, get your income, your side hustle income to at least 50% of what you're making on your primary job first. And once you get it to 50%, you can at least do this job full time because then you would have, you know, all your time to make up the other 50%. And it made
yeah,
so much sense to me. And I'm like, okay, I had a family, I had kids, 3 kids at that time when I left, but I had gotten my income up to that halfway mark. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
yeah. See, I didn't get to the halfway mark. I'm a little bit more cautious than you are, so I got to 100%. And so I had matched my job income, and I was going to keep both. I was going to keep both until one had to go. And
Mm,
so, I mean,
one had to
I could.
go.
Well, it wasn't my choice. The one went away.
Well, but everything happens for a reason because would you have grown or scaled as much had you kept
No,
up?
no, I wouldn't have, because when they fired me from the company, uh, there were some people that wanted to come with me,
Mm,
clients that wanted to come with me,
mm,
and had those clients not come with me, then no, like that just took my business to a whole other level,
mm,
and that mental shift that it did for me by reaching those levels opened up the world to me. Like if this is possible,
mm,
anything is possible.
mm-hmm.
And so that let me know that I had control of what my future
Oh,
had, and
powerful.
that I could I could do more, I could do less. Uh,
Mm,
and but
powerful.
you're either growing or failing. I don't know the opposite of not growing, but if you're not growing, then your business is going backwards.
Right.
And
Well, thinking.
I I know that, but I still make mistakes of not pursuing growth, and until you see a little bit of shrinkage in the company, you're like, oh snap, that's right, I gotta keep growth because you gotta fight that attrition, and
Literally.
that comes to mind. But you know when we were talking just a few minutes ago, when you were talking about before you mentioned the book Quitter, people work at different levels, and uh, there's a story that I read in the book about a mason, a brick mason, and you know,
Mm.
a guy's walking on the street and he sees the brick mason laying bricks, and he asks the guy what he's doing. He's like, "Oh, you know, I'm just getting a paycheck, man. I'm just here doing my job day in and day out." And then another guy walks by and he says, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And it's another brick mason. He's like, "Oh, I'm laying bricks." And then the next one is, "Oh, I'm building a cathedral." And you know, different speakers and motivational speakers have talked about this same exact thing, but in different formats. They're like, "Oh, you got to be in the cathedral building mindset," and, and I don't know necessarily if I agree with that, because that cathedral, and I'm just speaking free here,
Sure,
that
sure.
cathedral has a completion point,
See.
and after it's completed, that person who's building cathedral has lost their purpose
Mm.
because the cathedral is built.
Mm.
But the
You know,
person who, go ahead.
I was gonna say I've also heard that story, and I've heard, you know, that like just saying that another bricklayer would say, if someone asks him, "Hey, what are you doing?" Is like, "Hey, I'm building a place where people can come and get their lives saved or changed." You know, a
Oh,
place.
yeah, that means you heard it from a pastor.
Okay, okay, exactly. Well, as a third option, that's true. I did hear from. And then
Yeah,
because you're right, a cathedral, but then what happens in the cathedral? But I agree. It's with what is your why? And your why will fuel you to get to your desire. So if your vehicle, is the skill you know how to do, and that's going to get you from where you are now to fulfill your desire, just say your destination is your desire, your why is the fuel to get you to your desire. Because if you don't have the right why and you're just there to collect a paycheck, well, seldom can you do your best work if you're just barely there to get paid. Because what you typically do is, how little can I do and not get fired? That's the
yeah,
mindset you go on when you're on bricklayer A.
yeah.
Bricklayer
The
B.
worker, yeah. The bricklayer B is the one that resonates with me, is the one that said he was laying bricks,
Mm-hmm.
because the bricks is the job, it's the work that is needed, and it builds the cathedral,
Mm-hmm.
but he will never be completed. So he will always work forever with content, because that bricklayer was content at laying bricks.
So why does that resonate with you?
Uh, because that's actually how business is. Business never ends.
Mm.
You can't have a completion mindset, because if you're looking for completion, uh, I can't say where this came from. It's probably anonymous, but uh, the real success is in the process. It's not at the end.
Mm.
It's not at the completion, because the moment you feel that you've completed a, a success, like, oh, I have achieved success, well, then you may well lay down and die, because you have to stay in the process.
Mm.
Success is in the process, and that bricklayer is always in the process.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and may I share a different perspective?
No, that's fine, because the different perspective is actually what this is about. Because we're not giving people answers, we're giving people the ability to see what they resonate with, because there is no uh, single truth to this aspect. It's
Oh,
a
of
big
course,
gray area.
of course,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
How I see it is this. I see. Oh man, I was about to sneeze. I see this. I do need completion. So I need project completion. I need to see, okay, my work. You know, God created the heavens and the earth, and And after each day, he look at the creation. He's like, "This is good." You know what I mean? Like he said, "This is good." Like you want to see, all right, I've done this. Like in each day, when the Lord was creating the earth, He created portions of, He created the galaxy, the light, separate the light from the darkness, all this stuff. And He said, and God said it was good. I want something I can be like, this is good. This cathedral looks amazing. All right, what's the next cathedral to build? Like maybe that's the process. How many cathedrals are you building, or how many arenas, stadiums, whatever else? But I need to see some completion. But I also do agree with your concept that, and I've heard it said, the author of the One Thing, I can't remember his name, Keith Cunningham, and he said, success is like breathing. Your success is as important as your next breath of air. Like your success is like, all right, that was a success. Now that success is not nearly as important as your next one, because when it comes to breathing, you need more than just that breath you took just now. You need the next one, and the next one, and the next one to stay alive. So I get it. If you want to keep your desire to thrive alive, success does need to be as important as your next breath of air. I'm with you on that. So this is what it is. We say, hey, it's going to be raw, it's going to be real, but what can we do to really share our truths with people who resonate with them? So, hey, thank you for listening. Appreciate everything. See you on the next one. We're doing this one backwards. We didn't even have an intro, Grind and Grace, or any of that. But hey, this is Grind and Grace. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. We promise to give you value. We promise to be transparent. And we promise to always be authentic. See you on the flip side, and have a fantastic rest of your day.